Say good morning, Mabel. Say good morning. And yes, first night with new puppy, done and dusted, and it was excellent. I know a lot of people really struggle with being able to get through that first night, especially because puppies cry a lot. But using some of the tips and tricks that I discuss in my Perfect Puppy course, and I'll do a dedicated video on it over on the Canine Show, we had about 5 or 10 minutes of crying, settling her down, and then she settled down in her bed from about 5:30 through till 5:30. No toilet accidents. Got up with her, took her out for the toilet, took her back up to bed, and she went back into her own bed and slept for another few hours. So absolutely brilliant. Now I've spent some time with her, she is a delightful, sensitive, little loving dog. So it has been an absolute pleasure to start getting to know her. She's starting to settle in now. She was a bit unsure. Obviously, it's a lot when you first bring a puppy home, but she's settled brilliantly since. And things are really getting going. So today we've got a full day, very busy day. Always break it down into socialization, manners, obedience, and I'm going to take you along for that journey. First thing we're going to be focusing on this morning is socialization. You are going to be having your first trip to a hipster indie coffee shop. Yes, you are. And they are going to absolutely love you there. All the baristas cannot wait to meet you. So we're going to take you to a coffee shop, nice quiet Sunday morning, meeting new people, public environment, very controlled. It'll be lovely for her. Going to take her around some pet shops, get her to meet some people. Then we've got Sully coming round later. He's going to do some dog socialisation with her. We've got some more family members. My boys are coming back from their grandparents, so socialisation is sorted for the day. And then later on I'll talk to you about how we're working on manners and obedience. But without further ado, let's jump into the amazing first full day with this little superstar. You're going to say goodbye. You're going to say goodbye. What's that? What's that? Bye-bye. You are perfect. Yes, you are. You are perfect. Right, we've got to change the plan. Instead of going back to our house after we've done the socialisation, because it just went so well. She was brilliant in the coffee shop, she was brilliant in the shops in town. She's made a load of friends already, and now we've bought her some treats, and she's quite settled on trying to dig up that bag. Now, obviously, little quick tip, that might be seen as bad behaviour, but the car ride in itself is very stressful for any new puppy. So having a distraction, even if it's a slightly unwanted behaviour, that unwanted behaviour will be a really easy fix, but the payoff being that she's had a distraction and the car ride's been fun. Positive association with the car will be really easy fix to stop her digging and stuff down the future. But anyway, like I say, change the plan. Rather than going home and me going and getting Sully and bringing her to ours, we're going to go to my parents' house and socialise her there. They've got a massive garden. She can kind of have a bit of a run around with Sully the Labrador. I'll keep the Jack Russell quiet and out of the way and let her be chilled, not stress her out. But I might introduce her to the Husky as well, which you have met in previous videos on the Canine Show. But she's a very, I discuss it as she's very feline. She's not the most sociable dog. She's very well behaved and not aggressive in any sense, but she likes to do things on her terms. So as much as Sully is the perfect role model, she's fine, but I'll go with the flow, and obviously I'll bring you along for the journey. So you're about to see her meeting Sully for the first time, so this should be fun. So things changed a little bit. The plan changed today because you can be in the video if you want. You can be in the video and say hello. Can you see yourself in the camera? So in all the footage you saw me in earlier, I was fighting a headache, and after lunch when we were at my parents, it just turned into a full-on migraine that I suffer with every few months. I tend to get one, so I ended up having to go and hide in a bedroom in the pitch black all day, all afternoon, while my wife was a superhero and dealt with a 8-week-old puppy on her own, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, so she smashed it this afternoon. So we've done amazing socialisation today though. So we did the coffee shop, we did a few shops in town, we've done some traffic socialisation, we've been to my parents' house. She socialised with both the dogs and was brilliant. I was so proud of especially Sully, and my wife has absolutely smashed all the manners work. So socialisation and manners has been amazing. Over on the Canine Show I'm going to do a dedicated video going into more of the detail of canine training and canine behaviour and the psychology of training. I'm going to really break that down the first couple of days. So if you're interested in more the educational stuff rather than just the super fun overview stuff, you can go and check that out over on the Canine Show. But it is the evening, as you can see it's dark, so we're about to do tea and everything. Once the boys have gone to bed I'm going to do some obedience work with her, so I'll show you through my obedience routine that I do with baby puppies that are all in my Perfect Puppy course. And while I'm on the subject guys, a lot of you have been asking like the things that I've bought. If you didn't see the Perfect Puppy checklist over on the Canine Show, I've linked in the description box below all of the products that I recommend for any puppy, and especially for Cane Corso. So if you're interested in any questions of the things that I buy or the course that I use, all that's down in the description box below. But talking about the boys, and one of the most important things with a family guardian is not just training yourself and not just training the puppy, but it's also about training the people that are living with the dog, isn't it, Dexter? So you've been really good with Mabel today, haven't you? So what do we do if Mabel's doing something she shouldn't be doing?
Not biting their toes.
Yeah, but what do we do? If she's biting your toes, what do you do? What do you say? Yeah, so we say and we tell her not to do it, don't we? And then what do we do? So once we've told her not to do something, then what should we give her?
Toys.
Yeah, we give her toys so that she can learn what she should be chewing and what she shouldn't be chewing, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, aren't you a good boy? High five. Good job, we're going to play with your toys, and then we'll do your dinner. So yeah, it's just as important that everybody's on the same wavelength, not just you. Both me and my wife, she knows all the same stuff that I know. She's gone through the Perfect Puppy course, so it's all ingrained in her head. We're constantly drip feeding the same education to the boys. Obviously we have to simmer it down to their level, and we're always observing and making sure that everything's going okay. So before you bring your puppy home, you've got to make sure that everybody's on the same wavelength, all family members, from the youngest all the way to the oldest. Have a sit down, have a chat. Do you want the dog up on the furniture, on the bed? We're allowing her on the furniture, but we're putting boundaries in place. She doesn't jump up on the furniture when she wants. She has to sit and she has to wait nicely until she's invited up onto the furniture. And we as a family, we're all aware of that, so it's consistency. The emphasis of my Perfect Puppy course is to be a calm, consistent leader for your dog. That's what you need to be in order to have a perfect canine companion. More emphasis is on you and what you need to learn, far more than what it is that you need to teach the dog, and the whole family needs to do that, and you all need to be attacking it consistently. So there's a quick top tip for you. So we're going to start doing some obedience work. Now, with such a young puppy, we're going to do a really basic obedience drill. The main things that we're going to be working on are teaching her a name, because a name is actually simply a command for look at me, because I'm about to ask you to do something else. We might also start to work on a little bit of sit. And we're also going to work on getting something over her neck. Now, for me, I find the best way to do training is in this bowl. I've got half of her food from her last meal. So usually with a puppy, you feed them 3 or 4 times a day, and you can get into a routine of doing training 3 or 4 times a day. All you do is you portion up how much they're going to eat, take half of it out and do your obedience work with that half. That way they're also working for their food, building up that bond. You can make it a part of a routine. They're hungry, so they'll be more eager to work and more eager to learn. There's just loads of benefits from it. So I've got half of her food as well as some chicken for high value rewards to make sure that if she does anything really good that I'm really happy with, we'll use chicken rather than just the dry food that I'm going to be feeding her once she's finished. And then once she's finished doing the obedience work, we're going to then go and feed her the rest of her dinner. Now, this is late at night, and Mabel, because we're always learning about her, we're noticing in this kind of 7 till 10 p.m, she is absolutely exhausted, and we've had a busy day, so we'll see how it goes. I'll explain how it is I'm doing it and you can kind of follow along. So I'm just getting her excited, letting her know that there's some food here, but we're not going to have it yet. So then the first thing we need to really be working on is getting Mabel to understand to follow her nose, because that's how we're going to be working on so many treats. So I need to let her know that I've got some food in my hand, and you see how I can guide her. And if you can guide a dog, you can mark her behaviour. It's that simple. So I'm going to show you a really basic one. I might be biting off a bit more than I can chew, but just to prove I can do it. If I can get her to walk a little bit, because I want to get her to sit. If I get her to follow her nose up, you'll find sit, good girl, yes, good sit, good sit. And that's the principle of teaching sit. So we'll do it again. We'll get a little bit more. I'll get her to try and stand up, follow the food when she's finished chewing that one. Come over here, and this is where we're talking about, because she's very tired. So we'll so again, to show you again, we've got the food in her nose. I'm going to get her to follow it, lift her head up. See, look, sit, good girl, yes, good sit, good sit. Now I can already tell that she's really tired, and like I mentioned yesterday, if I push this too much, we're going to be setting her up for failure, because what she wants to do now is, if I left her now and just carried on talking to you, I already know she's just going to curl up and go to sleep with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to capitalise on this more for moving on to what we were talking about with the lead. So I've got my little slip lead here that I was talking about, just made a paracord. I've got it dead long because I can use it just for a bit of toilet training. But all we're going to do is we're going to get the neck hole open, going to get a bit of a high value reward, going to catch her attention with the chicken, hold it in front of the loop, she puts her head through the loop and she gets the high value reward. Good girl, yes, good girl, yes. And I'm going to take it off again and do the same thing. Now she's interested in playing with the lead, but you have to be patient with puppies at this age. Head through the loop. Good girl, yes, good girl, good girl. Positive association that something around her neck is a good thing. This is building those foundation blocks for eventually the lead work that we're going to do, that she's comfortable with something being around her neck, and we're not starting off with it being a negative and constantly using it as a correction. So again, because I know she's tired and she doesn't really want to do much work, we'll leave it at that. As simple as that. First day, we've done a little bit of work on sit, and we've done a little bit of work on some lead stuff. Now what I'm going to do, we're going to get some high value reward, and it's always worthwhile getting her to come back. She's gone over to my wife who's been the cameraman because she wants to curl up and go to sleep. But yeah, like I see, she's very tired, but what I'm going to do now is just get her used to being handled. So I'm going to look up in her ears and she's going to get a bit of a reward. Yes, good girl, yes. I'm going to get another bit of reward. I'm going to feel under her tummy, and as long as she's not freaking out, I'm going to be looking at her paws. Yes, good girl. Good girl, and as long as she's staying relaxed and letting me do these things, absolutely excellent. Again, we're going to look at the other paws, spread them out, get her used to stuff that she wouldn't do. We're going to look in this ear, yes. We're going to feel down under her undercarriage like a vet might, getting her used to her early vet checks. And as long as she doesn't freak out, good girl, yes, good girl, good girl. And obviously every dog's different, and that's why with dog training there's no one size fits all. And with my Perfect Puppy course, I teach you the philosophies and the theories and the underpinnings, as well as a recommended guideline that you can then adapt to. So for me, I already know that because she's so sensitive and soft and just wants to cuddle, she's not going to be overly interested in doing this obedience work. So for a puppy like Mabel, it will take longer than if, when I was talking about the difference in temperament, because she's such a submissive, calm, relaxed, loving girl down this end of the temperament, which will be amazing for manners and socialization and for therapy dog work. But with the downside being that she's never going to be overly interested in obedience, so I'm going to have to take it nice and slow, and I'll wait for her to be a bit more high energy, and I'll catch her and we'll do a little bit more next time. But if you've got a dog that's more independent, confident, outgoing, active, they might find at this time she wants to work for 20 minutes rather than the 2 or 3. So 4 times a day we're going to be doing this routine, depending on how she is. Like I say, she just wants to cuddle now, don't you? Because you are a good girl. You are a good girl. Yes, you are a good girl. Yes. Hopefully we can stretch it out from day 1 and 2. Like I say, this is 1 or 2 minutes worth of work 4 times a day. Over the next week, we'll be upping that to 3 or 4, 5 or 6, and then eventually we'll be able to do 10-15 minutes of solid obedience work every single day, and as long as you're doing that every single day, building your foundation layer, once you've got that layer mastered, you move up, you follow the puppy course and the layers that I introduce in that, and then eventually, even with a puppy like Mabel that might not be interested in it, I can guarantee that you'll get the most important things mastered with sit, down, heel, stay and recall. But this little puppy right now, yeah, did you sit when I asked you to? Did you sit when I asked you to? Most important things mastered with sit, down, heel.
Most important things mastered with sit, down, heel,
stay and recall. But this little puppy right now, yeah, did you sit when I asked you to? Did you sit when I asked you to? Yes, you see, you are learning, you just want to cuddle. Yes, you just want to cuddle. And what you might find is, so she might not be that food oriented, but what she might find is that a fuss and a cuddle and some praise and some physical contact is far more rewarding than a dog that's overly food driven. So again, all philosophies that underpin canine psychology, say canine behaviour and dog training. So as you get to know your dog, always set them up to succeed. I know if I was to do any more tonight, I'm going to be setting her up to fail. We've already an amazing day with socialisation and manners. That's very much basic of obedience, and we'll work on that. We're already not far off sit. I think by tomorrow, 4 more attempts at that tomorrow for a couple of minutes a day, and it won't surprise me if we've got sit nailed down. So like I say, that's kind of the philosophy of the obedience. She's fast asleep on the cameraman's legs now, which is why this camera work, I'm guessing, might not be its best. If it's been drifting, it's because Mabel's been going over and wanting cuddles with my wife. So I'm going to wrap the day up there. It is getting late. We're going to feed her a dinner, and then probably we're going to have some nice cuddles and get her ready for the bedtime routine of getting her settled in a bed so she doesn't cry all night. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click like. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Come over and follow with us on Instagram as well. You can DM me on Instagram. You can comment on this videos. You can drop me an email. Always happy to help. Love talking to you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Will and Mabel.